Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters Night podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today, welcome to a special guest. We got the boys from Kujo CT. How you boys doing today?
Doing good.
I'm good.
That's good to hear. Actually, you guys are real good friends with Neurotic.
Yeah. I met Nathan my freshman year of high school through mutual friends, and I've kept in touch with him pretty much since.
I guess you saw his interview when he came out earlier this year.
Yeah, I checked that part of it. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And I guess, have you guys done any shows together recently?
Yes, we just did one on Monday with them and a couple of our other buddies from the state and one of a band from New Hampshire.
All right, that's pretty cool. And just to introduce everyone's name right here. We got Shawn.
Hey.
We got John.
That's me.
Joe.
Me.
And then Sam.
Oh.
All right. So make sure the audience knows who everyone is here, right? So I guess, how you guys been recently? What's new?
We just had our first show earlier this week. Like Sam had mentioned, we played with Neurotic up in like the lower subsection of Boston. So that was pretty, nice landmark for us. Good start.
It was nice because, it went really well for us. I mean, nothing major really went wrong. So we're able to learn a lot from that because, we're able to think like, all right, what worked really well, what felt comfortable, what maybe was a little awkward or needs to be worked on for next time. So it's nice not having a rough start, kind of clouding the start.
Did we mention it was our first show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was our first show as a band together. And it actually went really great. I watched the live stream back a couple times on our Instagram, and it was awesome. These guys did really good. We had a lot of fun. It was awesome.
John's got a little more experience in this all than us.
Yeah,
so.
I played a couple shows, but for the first show, it was awesome. Great band. We sounded great.
Except for the fact that I dropped my stick at the end. That's something we can work on for next show.
That was an artistic choice.
Yeah, that was an artistic choice there, and almost completely stopping drumming during our new level cover. That was really fun. I've watched it back probably 3 times a day since we had it, and I'm like nitpicking everything about like what I did right and what I did wrong. It's like I'm too hard on myself, but I feel like that like it's gonna shape out to be good.
It was like one of those instances, like time just stood still as the stick just flew up into the air. So,
If you feel so inclined to go back and watch it, at the very end of our set, we did a cover of a new level from Pantera. We did the intro, and you won't see me drop the stick, but you'll hear it because all my drumming just stops for like a second and a half, 2 seconds while I'm trying to figure out how to recover from it. And I just ended up trying to play the rest of it with one hand as best as I could. And we were by the end of the set. I had like 15 seconds left of drumming. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal, but like I'm making it a bigger deal than it needs to be.
His idea was to cover Pantera. I guess you guys always been real big fans of their music.
I have. I remember when me and Shawn formed Kujo. I brought it up to him like, "Hey, it would be dope if we just like covered it." Like just the intro, because I saw Madonna do it. I'm like, wow, that's so sick, and I really wanted to do it. I really wanted to do it so bad. I'm like, we should definitely do it. And then Joe did, and it took me a little bit to try to get him into Pantera, but he came around to it. And then John's always been a Pantera fan, so he's been on board with it.
Yeah, a big Dimebag Darrell fan. I play Randall amps because of him. Also because of the convenience being solid state. Yeah, of course.
Maybe it was either that or you're hearing the opening introduction to Walk at all sporting events. So.
My dad was at his, he coaches varsity girls basketball in Suffield, and he'll like play songs like that, like Cowboys from Hell as their walkout music and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I was always thinking the Dallas Cowboys should do Cowboys from Hell, just the opening introduction song, just walking on the field and have the fire all shooting and everything. So that would be nice. Okay. You guys get to elaborate more on music and everything else here too in just a little bit. But boys, welcome to my podcast. And the way it's going to work is to ask you guys some questions. Let's get to know the guys behind the music as well, who you guys are as musicians as well here too. So, you guys ready?
Yeah,
Ready?
Okay. So I guess here, Shawn, you can start off actually. So tell us your backstory. Who are you? And I guess how did you become a musician?
So I started off originally on guitar back in like think my freshman year of high school. Like I wasn't like looking to play with anyone at the time. It's just, this is something I want to learn. I want to get good at it. Taking lessons for a few years. Schedule was kind of like hectic all the time, so it's just like never really got to sit down and get too serious with it. But, like enough to where I got interested in it and was like, this is something I want to take in a further direction if I can. And eventually, I just switched jobs. I couldn't like get the time to do lessons anymore, play with it. I was just like, at that time, I was considering switching to vocals anyway. But Sam had messaged me like October-ish, probably
I think
before that.
I think I know the exact like month, year, everything. I want to say it was late May of 2023 because I had just gotten home from Daytona at that point.
Yeah, Sam had messaged me at some point because we had all went to high school together, him, Joe, and I. But he had messaged me asking if I want to start a band with him and like asked me what I could bring to it. It's like, well, at the time I'm still playing guitar. I'll warn you now, I'm not too great at it, but I'm also like working on my vocals too. If that's something like we can transition into, and obviously that's the route we ended up taking because we both felt I wasn't like great at guitar, couldn't really bring much with it, but just been working vocals ever since.
All right. I guess whose idea was it to kind of get you into vocals? Was your parents kind of taking you on to take up choir back in school?
Oh, I never did choir back in school at all. I just kind of self-taught myself how to do everything, Like, I hear all these inspirational, like, singers to me, like, Killswitch Engage is a big inspiration to me, like, Howard Jones specifically. Like, every song that I hear him on, I fall in love with, and I was just like, I want to be able to scream like him someday, So, started teaching myself how to do it. Hurt my throat way too many times, and then I learned how to actually do it correctly. It's been improving ever since.
Here's a way to make up Jesse Leach, kind of taking over the duties now. Killswitch Engage.
I love Jesse. He's a good vocalist too, but Howard's always going to be my favorite. Like, they're both phenomenal at their job, but Howard, like, it's just such a classic era of Killswitch for me.
That's true. All right. And just real quick for the audience, do you just strictly do vocals, or do you also do guitar?
I strictly do vocals.
All right. In that case, we'll move on to John. I guess what's your backstory?
So, funny enough, I guess I did take choir when I was younger, in like 4th grade or something.
I didn't even know this.
Yeah, I never told them that. Yeah, I was in choir for a while.
New information.
And I liked singing around the time I was 14. I was singing a lot of Parkway Drive songs, like when I was in the shower or whatever. Sleepwalker was a favorite of mine. But I think around that time, like I knew I wanted to get into a band and start doing something, but I couldn't really bring anything to the table just being a singer. So I picked up guitar and, I got lessons for a while until I was 17, 18-ish. And then I felt like I was really like able to go out on my own and go into a couple bands. And I've been in a couple different bands around the New Haven area. And I'm with these guys now, and I feel really comfortable here, and I feel really happy with what I can bring to the table. So I guess that's pretty much my history with guitar.
All right. And Joe?
So I've always just like grown up around music, listening to music. My dad plays guitar, and his dad plays guitar really well too. And when I was little, I would always kind of try to learn guitar, but I just never got the hang of it. So I eventually was like, I want to try the bass, and I got into lessons, and I basically like learned some basic scales, and then me and my teacher, we would just play Rush songs. So like Red Barchetta, Tom Sawyer, and like that's just kind of how I learned to play. And so creatively, I'm definitely still trying to grow, but I like playing music. I just like hanging out, making music, making some noise. So having John, his writing is pretty impressive to me, at least.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to kind of be able to start to form my own kind of sound. It's been nice.
Have you always played with a pick, or do you mainly do it with your fingers?
So back when I learned to play with fingers. When I first joined Kujo, when we wrote Limb from Limb and Face Value and Unpaid Debts, I think.
We had a couple of songs and
I was
on released.
I was on pick for those. But I got a new bass. I was playing a Washburn before. It had real like loose strings because we're playing like a super low tuning too. Drop G sharp at that point. And so the pick just gave me a little more control, but I'm on a Dean now, and it just feels nice. It's more fun, honestly. For breakdowns, I like slapping sometimes, but, just making noise, honestly.
That's normally how it goes. All right.
Right.
And I guess Sam to close it out.
So I always grew up around music. So a lot of it was metal. I got it from my older brother. With some of the newer stuff at the time, one of the first albums he showed me was All Hope Is Gone. And got some more of the classic taste from my dad. So what ended up happening on why I picked up drums in the first place was, this is a funny story. My Rock Band E-kit broke, and I said, oh, I'm just going to buy a real E-kit and hook it up to my Xbox. And I learned that, it's not that simple, but I already have the kit, so I might as well try to figure it out in the process. So I've been working at it for 3.5 years now. I never took lessons or anything. I taught myself everything I know on it, just about. And I never looked back. I know the exact day I bought it. May 14th, 2021, I went to Guitar Center with one of my buddies and bought my E-kit that we used to record now.
Does it say, man, you were also influenced by Rock Band to take up drums?
Yeah, literally. And part of it really helped is because when I'd play Rock Band on the drums, I'd see all the blocks go down the highway, it's called, and I would play it on the drums. And then I went to try to convert it over to the E-kit, and it's like, wow, this is literally exactly what I'm supposed to be playing right now. To me, it translated perfectly. And even still, if there's a song that I do want to learn, I'll go back and look at the Rock Band charts for it to give me a good starting point on how to figure it out.
I was the same way, because I was also influenced by Rock Band way back when the first one actually came out. And it took me a while, because I was always playing the guitar and doing a little bass. I think that's what the chicks always dig, to be honest. But then eventually I got into drumming, and then it was the 4-pads for a good while. I guess, did you upgrade to the cymbal ones eventually when Rock Band 3 came out?
I never got the opportunity to. I bought all my Rock Bands. I had it when I was a kid, and then I ended up losing it when I moved. I've moved so many times in my life. I've lost it in one of my moves. It's probably in storage, so I haven't bothered to dig it out. I bought it all back. But my older stepbrother would play the drums, and I would play the guitar on it. And then when I bought it for myself, I started teaching myself the drums with it.
But the other good thing was, when the audience started clapping too, it would give you a nice beat and everything. So it kind of taught you music theory too. So, it's always interesting. And I was the same way. In fact, I upgraded my kits throughout the years, and that's how I got into E-kits. Never hooked it up, but I will say I'm the same way when it comes to knowing how a drum pattern goes when I want to do a drum cover. Okay, what did Rock Band do that was this
exactly.
way?
That's exactly it. It doesn't always have the double pedal parts perfectly, but you can kind of figure them out by listening to them. It's a good starting point to at least have the root of those of maybe some quicker double pedal parts or triplets on the beat. It'll always have the root of it to get you started with it. So it's always helped me.
Maybe I prepped you for a 1-foot blast, so you're able to just do it with the 1 foot. So, okay. So, I guess who wants to give the history about Kujo CT itself? Because I guess there were a good number of bands who already took the name Kujo.
So that was a really funny story about Kujo. I originally pitched the name that we get called Limb from Limb, and nobody wanted to do it. And I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, all right, whatever. And so I said, why don't we call ourselves Concorso, the dog? It's a mean dog. And I'm like, we should do that show. He's like, well, if we're going to be called a dog, why don't we just call ourselves Kujo at that point? I'm like, let me pitch it to Joe. And I don't know if Shawn was being serious or not about it.
Well, it was.
Okay.
We want to be a scary dog. Why don't we be the scary dog?
So, yeah. Okay. And Joe's like, that's a good idea, but I don't want Stephen King to copyright us. So let's change it to a K. And because K is cool, I'm like, all right, awesome.
Korn did it, and it worked for them.
Yeah, literally.
So,
so many people there were like, all right, we can do it. And then a kid I used to talk to, he sent me a trademark website, and the name Kujo was trademarked by a workwear company with a K, spelled the same, exact way. And we're like, well, what are we gonna do? And I said, why don't the Instagram handle is already Kujo_CT. Let's just call ourselves Kujo CT. There's plenty of other bands that have done it. Kublai Khan put TX at the end of their name. Unity put TX at the end of their name. Varials had PA at the end of their name. So many bands have done it, we can do it too. So let's just do that. It's easier. We already had the Guitar Center flyers looking for guitarists as Kujo, so we couldn't change it. So it was like, that was really how we got the name of it. We had a couple of other band names that didn't end up working out. I think I still have them in our notes.
Yeah, I might still have them. Just like he and I were going back and forth for a little while. I was like, all right, do we want something like more of like a longer sound, like with some meaning behind it? We just want something like short and punchy. It's just like here we are, we're making music.
I was gonna say, I think I pitched that we should make it a really short name because it's gonna be a lot easier to remember us by.
Yeah.
And like we don't even like the CT is really only there just to avoid the copyright. Like I still call us Kujo when I talk about Kujo and everything. Occasionally I'll say CT out of like old habits, but
yeah. Like anytime we have like some legal referral or it's like unofficial document, we'll put the CT. But if I'm just talking about it like casually to someone, I don't even bother. It's like who I'm talking about already.
They usually just put us down on bills.
Oh yeah. O'Brien's Pub in Boston literally put us down as Kujo, and my coworker started busting my balls about it. He's like, I don't see you guys on the bill. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, dude, it says neurotic, volley, nameless, and Kujo. Who the hell is Kujo? I'm like, oh, good one. You're real freaking funny, dude.
It's a good day when your own employees are busting your balls. So yeah.
I love it. I love that guy so much. I call him my work uncle and everything. And I finally got the work nephew tag. He's so much older than me, but he's like, he told me when he talks to me, it feels like he's talking to a younger version of himself. So like, I'm happy about it. I'll take it. I love him to death.
I was going to ask, was it also because of Neurotic that this band had formed, or I guess how'd you guys meet up?
So I had a couple of band tryouts that I tried that some of them, this is a really weird history. So I started going to a kid in high school that I used to go to school with. He was a drummer. He's like, dude, you should play bass in our band. I'm like, okay. Or like, we should start a band. You can play bass because I had just bought an Ibanez 5-string and I loved it. It ended up being a piece of crap. But what's it called? And I was playing bass for like a week, and we got this kid who never played guitar before, like, learn guitar. Like, you have one, just learn it for us, right? Like, we'll start off with really easy songs to get you into it. Like, we'll start Man in the Box. We'll start with Man in the Box. Easy song. I said, don't even worry about the solo. Just get the main riff down. He didn't do it. I kind of just got my time wasted, and I quit after like 2 weeks. And then that same kid who played drums, he's like, yo, me and my buddy Eric are starting a band. You should join. I'm like, cool. Is he playing guitar? He's like, no, you're playing bass. I'm like, but I play bass. He's like, well, you can play guitar now. I'm like, all right, then I guess I'll be playing guitar. And I went over there, I grabbed my guitar, I played with them, and eventually I just stopped hearing from them for a minute, it felt like. Or maybe something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. This was like 3 years ago, give or take. Maybe a little longer, and so much has happened in between since. I tried a third time with them, and that's when I didn't hear anything back from the drummer. And I tried finding people who needed drummers because I wanted to drum at that time more than anything. But I was willing to play guitar if I needed to. And eventually I did end up texting Shawn in spring of 2023, and I said we should start a band because I'm like, nobody's looking for drummers or anything like that. From what I could see, at least in my area, I was probably wrong. But I said, if nobody's looking for what I bring to the table, then I'm going to have to start it myself. And I hit up Shawn on Instagram again. I hadn't spoken to him since graduation. It had been a minute. I asked him if he wanted to start a band.
Okay, so Sam and Shawn met in high school, I guess. Joe and John, I guess, how'd you guys get involved with the big group?
I was friends with Sam throughout high school. We both went to the same tech school. We were in the same shop. So we didn't really get close until like our junior, senior year. We started like hanging out. And that's really when I started getting into metal too, is when I met Sam. I grew up with like a little bit of 90s stuff, System of a Down, Rammstein, weird kind of niche stuff. I guess not niche at this point, but the two biggest bands. That's not what I meant.
I know what you mean, acquired taste.
Yeah, right, acquired taste type stuff.
The weird kid music.
Yeah, weird kid music. And then he started getting me into like Pantera, and it was kind of slow at first. I remember the first time he was like,
Oh my God,
dude, you gotta go
what's
listen to
out, you know?
Pantera. I listened to like
You listen to Walk.
I listened to Walk, and I was like, dude, they're boring.
And I flipped
He got
out.
so
I got
mad, dude.
so
He was
bummed.
like, no, go listen to the whole album front to back. So I did. I was like, oh, okay. I'm sorely mistaken. Great Southern Trendkill is one of my favorite albums, still. And so after graduation, I hear from Sam. He's like, hey, I'm starting a band with Shawn. And I actually went to middle school with Shawn, and I hadn't heard from him since middle school.
I don't think he's spoken.
No, we didn't. Like, I just remember like seeing him, small town. You grew up around the same 100 kids.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, and he was like, yo, I know you play bass. You should come play for my band. And at first I was like, I don't know.
In the sales pitch of Kanashi and everything.
I get in my head and I'm like, maybe, am I even good enough? I hadn't played bass in like a year or two, more at that point. And like everyone around me is just like, you're stupid if you say no. So I was like, all right, cool.
I remember getting that text at work. I jumped up with joy from right in the middle of the restaurant. I went back there. I went right to Luke's. I'm like, yo, guess who's joining my band?
So yeah, and I always figured it would just be something I would at least do on the side as fun, and as long as it's not too much. It's been just so awesome putting more and more time into it now with our first show. I'm excited to do more. It's cool. It was my first ever like real show that I've played, so it's nice.
He's like, I'm nervous.
I was so nervous. I told you on the car ride up. I'm like, jump shit myself right now.
The whole nervousness aspect was so weird for me because like every day leading up to us, like this is fine, I'm gonna nail this, whatever. Driving up, I was fine. We get there, I'm on stage. It's like time for sound check. That's when the nerves start hitting me. Like we get through sound check, I was like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I've never done this before. I feel like I'm gonna screw this up. Then like it's time for us to actually start the show. I get up there and it's like no different than playing down here. Like it went all smooth for all of us, in my opinion, anyway.
Like a sporting event, the butterflies suddenly fade away, and the adrenaline kicks in. So yeah.
Once we get off that sound check, like the awkwardness kind of cleared up. I was like, this is no different than just playing any other week. So we just went up there, did what we did, got the crowd moving, got some people, excited, hyped up to see us, put on a good show for them.
I'll get to that in just a second, but like I said, John, what was your story about joining the group here? I don't know if you mentioned it earlier.
I went on I was out with my girlfriend, like running errands, and we were like nearby the Manchester Guitar Center, and I went in to like see, I played 10.5 gauge strings. It's like kind of a weird gauge, and I was looking for like Diodarios, and they didn't have anything. So I went in the back to like use the bathroom before I left, and they have a board back there with, like band wanted, people wanted for band posters up there, and their ad was up there. So I took a picture of it and I DM'd them that night, and it took a little while because the DM wasn't working for their band account or something like that.
I still don't have the message request from anybody at all. You texted me personally. I remember that.
So I DM'd Sam on Instagram to like clarify that I wanted to join the band. And I think I had sent him a couple links to some TikToks of me playing like Cannibal Corpse songs on my TikTok. And I showed up for band practice once, and I don't even know if we practiced or if it was at the end of practice, but Sam told me I was in the band and he gave me a hug. But that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I remember when you sent me those TikToks. I texted these two immediately. I'm like, guys, we just struck gold. Like, you have no idea right now.
Yeah,
I was like, we're so lucky. This was August. This was before John even tried out. I'm like, dude, he's gonna be able to play our songs so easily. Like, we have found someone who's so good at what he does. Like, I was officially at that point, I was playing guitar on our recording tracks, which is why they kind of sucked. But like our first two recordings, they weren't great, but it's like I wanted music out. So I'm like, all right, I'll try to come up with something on guitar. And I could tell as the more it went on, and with me playing guitar, I didn't have the creative mindset to be able to write guitar riffs, and I was struggling inside myself trying to figure it out. And then John texted us, and I was like, wow. I'm like, are we lucky or what, guys?
Yeah, that was what, like August 2nd?
August,
There was a
yeah.
Metallica show.
It was like the
that's
day
in-
after the Metallica show in Foxborough. So I think August 3rd, John texted
It was
us. We
either
told him
the
to show
same
up.
day or like a day after the first one, like the
Yeah.
second day to the show. Because when
I was at work when John texted me, so it was Sunday. It was
Yeah.
actually Sunday. I remember that.
Yes.
All right. And the rest is history, as they would say. So, that seems like this group was formed, what, in 2023 officially?
Yeah.
October 7th, 2023 is when we officially made our social media pages and we took our official photo. That was just us three at the time of. And then it wasn't until March 8th that we got our first song out. So October 7th is like what I consider our birthday, but like
Yeah.
March 8th of 2024 is also can be considered. That's when we officially had something out, but we found it officially on October 7th, 2023.
It was kind of leading into this question right here, but here, Joe, you could start it off. But I guess, so what were you doing during COVID? And then how bad was it for you personally, family-wise, and then anything else music-wise?
So during COVID, I was in my sophomore year of high school. So it was rough. It definitely like kind of I was just getting into the flow, halfway through there. I was finding my footing in high school, and then I went to virtual. Honestly though, I did pretty okay with virtual school. I liked it, being able to work at my own pace. It definitely sucked, like just being away from everyone all the time, yeah, it was, excuse me, I'm like stuttering.
Let's say deep breaths, Joe, deep breaths.
Deep breath.
No, it sucked, but it definitely could have been worse. A good way to sum that up.
I know in terms of like virtual school, I know people always struggle when it came to like music class because it was like just so off, and you had a hard time trying to say like, wait, stop, that whole deal. So, okay. I guess Shawn, we'll go down the line now. So
Yeah, COVID honestly didn't affect me too much at all, to be honest. I mean, same thing like sophomore year, just because we were all in the same year, so we all graduated at the same time. But like, went to virtual school. I was still taking guitar lessons at that time, so like that went to virtual instead of in person. So that was like a little bit of a struggle for me in terms of like musically speaking, but it didn't really affect me too much. Like social life didn't really affect me that much either, just because all my friends were either out doing something or from different towns anyway. So it's not just like, oh, I can go see him on a whim. Like, I'm a sophomore, I don't have a car, I can't just like drive wherever I want anyway. But it really didn't get to me that much either. Classes still went well when I was actually paying attention. There's not some proud moments there. My mom walked in on me playing Black Ops Zombies in the middle of history class. That was fun.
we just mute the mic and then we pretend that we're actually there, or we actually just block out the camera.
Oh my
Good to see here. So,
I still passed the class, so I don't see the problem.
I'm still getting A's. I'm listening. I'm thinking and shit. So yeah. I guess that's it.
I'll try to make this as quick as possible because COVID was a roller coaster and a half for me because like it hit. So we got put into lockdown 2 weeks before my 16th birthday when I was supposed to go get a job. I was supposed to go get my permit and start driving and everything. Like officially being able to give that freedom that happens when you turn like 16, 17 years old, and all of that had to get postponed because of it. And a week before my birthday, my mom and and her boyfriend of 8 years ended up splitting up. So I lost him, and he was a big father figure to me growing up. And his kids were great with me. I love them so much. I still do to this day. I talk to them every once in a while. And then right after my birthday, we ended up moving, and I shot up from 115 pounds to like 215, 220 pounds. So it was like crazy. Just so much happened to me. I lost all my social skills from it, just being like isolated, which I've since been working on getting back. I've been doing solid enough, but like COVID was so like bad for me. I hated it so much. And it's like, but now it's like, oh well, I feel like COVID, it either like people either didn't care or it like messed with them one way or another. There's like no in between, I feel like.
I think the thing I noticed from all the interviews I have done is like the introverts actually loved it, I'll tell you, people passing away. That's
I am an introvert and I love it. For some reason, it's so weird to me. It's like now that I've been like going out and I've been having to make connections now in terms of like the business and getting to meet new people and meeting people at festivals that I'll attend. Like I'm really starting to get those social skills back that I had lost throughout COVID. Because when I came back from high school, when we were allowed to start coming in, I didn't say nothing to nobody. I wasn't speaking out in class. Like I'd make smart remarks to the teacher, not like in an asshole kind of way, just like poking fun with the teachers, poking fun with me back. I came back and I was dead silent like the whole time. I feel like it really messed with me bad, but like, oh well, it's over with now. I mean, there's nothing I can really do about it, so I'm working on getting it all back.
I guess we should say you're more of a tweener in that case. You're between the extrovert and the introvert. So
Yeah, literally. I mean,
social.
I am introverted. Like I don't really do that much with my time. I kind of just I go to work, I come home, I'll play my drums. I'll play my drums before work. When I get out, everyone's going to bed. But like, I'll go wake up, play my drums a little bit, go to work, come back, watch TV, and go to bed. And that's like my life, even on my days off. Like I don't do a whole lot unless there's a concert coming near us or we have a show. Like I don't do a whole lot. I just like I'm a homebody. I like keeping to myself and doing what I got to do.
I would say, go back to my earlier point, it was like introverts loved it, the extroverts considered it was like a torture in that case. It's like, cue the music. No. That's what I do. Okay. I guess, John, what was your story during COVID?
That was bad. Well,
We can cut that.
yeah. But I was taking classes and I was doing like audio production, video production. I wanted to work on like a news set, doing the audio and camera and stuff like that. So I had some practice at it. I was going to a technical school at the time, and COVID hit after my first year. So during my second year, we had to go all online, and it kind of like ruined my like determination because it was like so different. But it was like it wasn't bad. You're just looking up answers on the computer now. So, but like music wise, it was really great because I feel like I really honed in on my guitar playing, like in like my sloppiness in my playing, and I really like learned a lot of new songs that I thought were too challenging, and like in the past, and I just like forced myself to be better, and I think like learning songs from Cannibal Corpse and like Pantera gave me a better sense of writing. After like COVID was over and I came back, I felt like I had turned up my writing and all that stuff to like another level. So it felt pretty good in the end.
That's good to hear. Like, for some of the Cannibal Corpse, are you doing more of the ones with Corpse Grinder, or have you done a couple during the Chris Barnes era?
I can play like one or two Chris Barnes songs. I really like the Corpse Grinder songs. I think once they got Pat O'Brien in the band, that's when my interest really like spiked with Cannibal Corpse. Bloodthirst is one of my favorite albums they put out, and like you don't ever hear anyone talk about it. What's another good one? Gore Obsessed is another great album that they put out that nobody talks about. So I think I like that early 2000s, late 90s, like because the production was so like gross sounding. It almost gives you like I would listen to it with the lights off and my speaker like right next to me, and it would feel like gross. It would feel like I was in that gross area. It was great though. I love those records. So I worked really hard on like learning those riffs and trying to apply it to my own stuff.
He's within the scenery of the Bloodthirsty in that case. So, yeah.
Exactly.
But in all seriousness, it's good to see you guys are doing well. Now, did you guys get sick with COVID? I guess well, you and your family is all okay.
Difference is I managed to actually never get it.
Yeah, lucky
man.
I read this on your
So I think I might have had it like right when it first came to the U.S. So I remember it was like back in December, both my stepdad and I got like really sick, like pretty much the same symptoms you would hear about with COVID. And then like a few weeks later, like that's when it started really becoming big news. So I think like at the very start of it, I might have, but after that, I never had it again, if I had it at all.
I've had it, what I believe, well, technically I have 2 tested times that I got it, and one time that I'm like 99% sure I got it. I got it the first time I didn't know if I had it or not, but the second time I for sure had it. I'm like, wow, this feels like that time I went to work and I felt like crap all day. But it was like, I never made it a big deal. I was like, dude, I went to work with COVID. I was like, I felt horrible. I was so sore, like everything. But like, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it sucks, but it's like, oh well.
That's on me. I was like, Sam, you nincompoop, you got the COVID bug. So
No, I went through it. I never got tested for it, and I woke up the next day perfectly fine. Nobody at work got it or felt like sick or anything like that. So I was like, did I have it or did I not? I don't know. It felt really similar. I definitely had something, but nobody got it. So I was like, oh, this isn't that big of a deal anymore. Why did we have to shut down over it?
I feel like that was the general fear of any time you got even the start of a cold or a
Oh, yeah,
oh,
they
God,
wanted
like COVID.
They wanted to tell you everything was COVID, dude. According to my buddy's dad, their cousin, this is kind of a sad story. Like for more reasons than one. Their cousin got in a car accident and died, like head completely decapitated. And because there was COVID in his bloodstream, they named his cause of death to be COVID. Which is crazy. I don't know how true it is. I mean, you know what? It really wouldn't shock me, to be completely honest, because this was at the peak of it, and I always thought that they were inflating the numbers any chance they could. But like,
No, I've heard that too, just because my mom works in a hospital, so like she was working there that time, so she saw a lot of people come in with it. Like they died from something completely unrelated, but then they say like, oh, it was a COVID death. Like I'm pretty sure she said something about like a tree falling on someone one time, and they attributed it to COVID just because he had it at the time. It's like you could see the tree on top of him, so I don't know.
although microorganisms used a little chainsaw to cut the tree down.
Just hopping off of him, going down, cutting.
I guess so. Yeah. But in all seriousness, good to see you and boys are doing well here too. And you formed Kujo and actually did your first show, so
Yeah.
bright days are ahead. So,
yes, sir.
but still sticking on the topic of COVID here too. I guess so. You guys are in around the capital of New Haven, right? I guess how's the music scene been from your perspective?
This is funny. I think John and Joe are the only ones that are like in somewhat proximity to New Haven. We're out in the middle of the woods right now at my rehearsal, at my house where we have rehearsal. It's all the way in Windham County on like the complete other side of the state. So I have no clue what's going on in New Haven right now. I wish I did, but like, I have no clue. I don't know if you know, John, what's up with the music scene over there right this minute.
Not really. I haven't played a show in New Haven in a little while because we haven't played as a band there yet. And my last show there was a couple years ago. So I don't really know what's going on. But there's a couple good venues down there, like Cherry Street, Webster, whatever else, Toad's Place.
That's been what's pretty cool too. At least for me, this is my first experience in a band. It's been kind of cool trying to be more conscious of the music around me and the local bands and trying to, make sure I know what's going on and whatnot.
I feel the same way because now that we've gotten into a band, I've been thinking to myself yeah, I support the local scene and everything. I'm like, how can I say that? I don't even know what's going on over here right now. But I think to myself, like, there's literally nothing. It's just trees out here. There can't be a scene. No, I took the time and researched it. There is a small, but there is a scene out here. Believe it or not, as crazy as that sounds, there's a page I follow called, I'm pretty sure it's called Eastern CT Hardcore. I'm pretty sure. And it's just all hardcore shows. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow. I'm like, wow, that's cool. I mean, like, Jewett City's like 20 minutes from me. That's crazy. I'm looking at it, I'm like, Killingly's like a 5-minute drive down the road. How have I not heard about, like, any of this right now? Like, it was crazy to me. I'm looking at one of the venues, the VFW in Killingly. I'm like, dude, this is 15 minutes away. How have I never seen it? And I look on Google Maps. I'm like, it's all surrounded by woods, big, like 3-mile long driveway. I'm like, that's why I haven't seen it yet. It's just woods. There's like one part of like Killingly, which is our neighboring town, or my neighboring town at least, not everyone else's, unfortunately. But and there's like two like city-ish parts of it, if you can even call it that. It's like Main Street and a plaza, and then it's just woods. It's just woods. Two random like. There still isn't much over here, but there is a scene. There's a scene everywhere. You just gotta look for it. Sometimes it's harder than other areas, but they are there.
I'd say it's like hunting season in this case. You gotta go out in the woods and look for them
Literally,
bands. In this case, not deer, but pretty much bands. So.
that's exactly what it is. It's like I tried so hard finding them. I found some that like I found plenty of bands that made music, but none of the music that I feel like we made. Nothing similar enough. You know what I mean? Like a lot of alternative bands, a lot of like 90s punk sounding bands, and like indie bands is like the majority from what I've been able to see.
I'd say it's good because actually a lot of my interviews, they would talk about the rise of like cover and tribute bands that started coming out, which it's still good to see musicians, but you're just covering old people's music in this case. So
Right. Like I don't mind doing a cover during a set. Like I don't even mind. I'm all for it. If we cover the intro to a new level at the end of every single set, I have no issues with it. But playing music that isn't yours, nothing wrong with it. I would just rather make my own and let my music speak for me.
Yeah. And like going on covers, like we have been tossing around for a little bit. It's just like, oh, we kind of need to like buff up our album or like set list. Like, how do we feel about throwing like a cover in at the end? Like for a little while, we were tossing around like playing "Roots, Bloody Roots" by Sepultura at one point.
Shawn hates that.
No, we weren't.
No, you weren't. He wasn't. This was long before John. John does not like that song at all. We were throwing it down. We had it all recorded and everything. We had like almost the entire thing recorded, and then a bunch of setbacks happened, and we postponed everything. And then we found John, and we were like, okay, this is even better.
Yeah, I wouldn't like be opposed to doing like a cover here and there, like every other album, just like throw one on there for fun. Not like never gonna be like a just like strictly cover band. Like that's not what I want to do. Like I want to put my music out there, like our music actually. Like I just want like people to hear us for who we are, not just like, hey, we like the same music as you guys, come listen to us. It's the exact same song you've heard from someone else. It's just a different voice on it. Like. It's fun to like express, you know, the feelings you have towards a song. Be like, hey, this one hits home to me. It was just like someone else like already has that connection to that song. Like they're not gonna get anything else out of it when you do it.
because that's at a new level, and I guess maybe a little roots, but bloody roots. I guess what other songs have you tried to cover?
I was throwing around the idea of "Snuff" by Slipknot for a while, just because like that one always.
learning it on guitar too because you pitched it.
When I first joined, I made them play break stuff, and then I made them pick up the phone by falling.
Oh my god!
At
no.
sound check.
And it's still, dude, that is gonna be the sound check song forever. Shawn,
Except for when they ask for vocals.
yeah, except when they say, "Can we get a song with vocals this time?"
Yeah,
Yeah, you learn the lyrics, put the emo voice on.
yeah. When Joe was first coming in, he said it was a requirement for us to cover "Blind" by Korn.
It was a requirement.
Yeah, no, it was literally a requirement. When we did our tryout with
I
Chris,
remember, yeah.
we said, yo, this kid Chris out in East Longmeadow, Mass. He said he was willing to make the drive. I'm like, all right, that's something I always preface to everyone who texts us. Like, you realize that we are, like, in the middle of nowhere, and you're probably going to be really far from us. I said, all right, so learn Blind.
Reminded by
Drowning Pool,
and then My
Own Summer.
Yes.
And then what's it called? It's all simple songs. They're like, these are easy. Like, I just want to see how well you play them. And then and then Limb from Limb. That was another one, a requirement of our own music to make sure that they can play what we have already recorded.
Yeah.
I will say Blind. That's always the hell of a nice intro. Get the "Are you ready?" that whole deal.
Exactly.
I love it. It's absolutely killer. All right. But we'll see what happens in terms of music scene here too. But I think you guys are onto something. So fingers crossed. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go ahead and jump into the gear right here. So I'll start with John because I think that's his guitar right over there too. So I guess what you got?
No,
No, that's not mine.
that one's mine. I need to fix it, and I keep delaying it.
Yeah, that sounds
I
right.
guess regardless, John, go ahead. What you got?
So I guess starting with the guitar, I play a ESP LTD Eclipse 87, and the reason I like it is because it's a it's a Telecaster body, but it has a Gibson scale length on it. So instead of 25.5, it's 24 3/4. A little more comfortable for me to play. And it's got Floyd Rose on it and all that stuff. I really like it. For amps, I'm playing a Randall RG1003. I just broke my 6505 like a week ago before the show started, and I was so mad I couldn't use it. But the Randall's like a workhorse for me, so it hung in there no problem. I'm using a noise gate and overdrive, a wah pedal, a whammy DT, and a reverb. So the noise gate is a decimator, and then I'm using a Maxon OD808X, which is the overdrive, using the Dime Signature Crybaby wah, the whammy DT, of course, and then I think it's a
Look at
MXR
it. I can't see it.
reverb or something like that. I don't really flip that one on though, to be honest. Yeah.
It's a decoration piece.
Yeah, I max all the stuff out for the most part.
Consider a badge of honor in this case, then. So.
Right. I really like how my rig sounds, man. It's awesome. I'm hoping to get a better cabinet soon because I can't fit my 4x12 in my. I have a coupe and I can't fit my 4x12 in there. So I'm hoping to get a 2x12 with Celestians in it. I had Jaguars in my 4x12, but hopefully it'll sound even chunkier, man. But that's all I got for gear, really.
Just real quick, what sort of picks do you use? Like, what brand are they?
They're Dunlops. I think they're like Jazz 2s or something, 1.35s. They're the black ones. Those are my favorite ones.
Do you always have a preference, or I guess was that like the one you just landed on? I was like, this is the one. So
I was when I first started guitar, I played like a really thin Dunlop, and it was very comfortable for me. And eventually, I moved up to like a 3.35 or something. I don't know what the thing was, but it was the green one. I moved up to the green one because Dimebag played it. And eventually, like when I started doing a lot more tremolo picking and stuff, where my hand had to be faster and like triplets and stuff, I didn't need all the flex in the pick. So I went up to the black picks, and like it stays solid like a rock, so I can move my arm however I need to and play whatever. That was really the black one's really the one, and I got that from Cannibal Corpse. They had I saw them in 2019, and they threw picks out. I got one of their picks, and they were playing in black Dunlop, and I was like, man, I should try those, and they were awesome. Yeah.
Courtesy of Pat O'Brien. So I guess whoever the dark was at the time.
And with them when I saw it.
Okay. And that's it.
I am. John got into all this detail about his rig, and I don't even know what half the stuff I'm using is. So I'm using a custom SJC Pathfinder kit in a Galaxy Black, and it has our logo on the front of the kit. And then for my snare, I am using a 12x7 pork pie little squealer. And I love that snare drum so much because it sounds like a dodgeball hitting a wall every time I hit it. And I can't even use it to record offset. And then I don't even know what I really have for cymbals either because I started with a hand-me-down kit from my brother. So I have a Meinl hi-hat, and I have a Meinl China that is in rough shape to say the least. And then I have a Zildjian A Custom Crash and a Pasty 2002 22-inch Mega Bell ride cymbal. And this kit has been perfect. Like, it's exactly what I want. Small, I could fit it all in the car somehow, and it sounds killer. So, it's easy to move. It's extremely easy to move. It's a very small kit, and that's what I wanted before our first show. I used to have a big kit, like pretty decent sized toms, a big snare drum, and it was all on a drum rack. And I said I need to ditch the rack, which I could fit in my car, but if I wanted to fit the drum rack in the car, I needed to take the entire thing apart, and it just defeated the purpose of it for me. I don't have like a truck or a van like my older brother did, whose kit that belonged to, where I could just pick it up by the arms, keep everything on it, and put it in the back of the truck. Like I would have had to take the whole thing apart. It just wasn't worth it to me. Well, everything, it's nice. I mean, all my cymbal stands fold up and everything. Like, it's super easy to fit in the car, honestly. We had no issues the other day putting it in there, other than the car blowing up. Other than the car crapping down Route 6, we had no issues getting there and putting all the gear in it and everything, so I love it.
Was the transmission start dying on you or something? Or I guess what was it?
We have a whole list of everything that went wrong with it from the mechanic, $1,800 later. Jesus Christ. My car was not telling me that there was no coolant in it, and it was overheating, and the gauge stayed right at level temperature. And there's something wrong with my rotors and my brakes. My brakes were grinded down so bad that they were grinding into the rotors, and they're completely shot, and some other stuff with it too. But the mechanic said that he did not feel safe test driving it because it was going into limp mode. And when it was on the lift, he kept hitting the wheel with a wrench, my front two wheels, and they're wobbling. And they said, "You're lucky to be alive right now. The wheels should have came clean off of this thing like a while ago." So,
I'm talking about by the good grace of God, he put me pulled through. So in that case,
I thank him every single day, and I'm thanking him even more now. So that would not have been fun if we got all the way up to Boston and we're on the Pike and the car's wheels just fly out from either end, like an hour away from home.
It was funny because it felt like such a bad omen at the time, but thinking back, it was like, thank God it happened like 5 minutes from his house. So
Literally.
we could just turn back around in limp mode.
Going 35 miles an hour at 50.
And we still had time to make it for sound check and everything.
And dinner, like
And
everything.
dinner, yeah,
we were still the first man to show up with all these like the car set back, having dinner and driving up to Boston. We were still half an hour early. I was like, oh my God, wow. That's crazy to me. We really planned that out like perfect. And I thought we were packing up early too.
Me too.
We're like, wow, we're packing up really early right now.
If we didn't pack up early, we would have been late.
Load-in was so good because we were right in front of
Oh my God,
right in
yeah.
front of it.
Dude, we were showing up a half an hour early to every single venue, so we could just park right in front of the door.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're taking those parking spots from here on out.
Everyone else had to walk.
Yeah,
the block
I was
at
gonna say.
least.
Yeah,
I saw
Nathan
carrying the
James
down
was
the
the
road.
only
Literally,
other
James
guy
was the only one that parked, and even still, he was like a 3-minute walk down the road still. Like, Nathan came from around the corner, and I'm pretty sure he parked really far down, like far, and I was like, wow, we got lucky. Thank God the drum kit was parked right in front of the door. Because I let all the other guys that night use my kit to save over time. I insisted on. I was using my kit regardless if anyone else wanted one. I didn't buy it for it to collect dust in the basement. I really wanted to use it this one time, and I let everyone else use it. So thank God that the kit was right in front of the door for load-in, because oh my God, that would have been so bad having to haul it to the nearest parking garage, dude. We would have hated it. We would have been driving back. We're like, never going to Boston again. I'm not doing it. We would have been pissed the whole ride home.
Borrow a cart or something.
Yeah, literally. The little mobility scooter with the carriage in the front of it, start loading stuff into it, or tow it behind us in like a little wagon.
Right.
Yeah.
that's an interesting story. All right. Get back to the question here too. I guess, Shawn, what do you use a specific microphone, or is it more of just whatever the venue gives you?
I have literally no idea what microphone I use. I'm not the one who bought it, so.
It is a AKG P5i. I'm not sure how we came down to the answer to get this, but
Yeah, I don't know.
but we got it nonetheless.
Yeah, most likely a price.
This is for recording and live.
Yeah, I used to have the same show.
Yeah.
I just got myself a Fishman amp not too long ago. I don't know what model it is, but that one's been treating me pretty nice too. Because before that, I was using Joe's bass amp whenever he wasn't using it, or like a guitar amp, and just the vocal quality wasn't great. But finally got myself like an actual nice, good amp. That was like $400.
Here it is right here.
Yeah.
What does it say on it?
Loud
Mini
Box Mini, yeah.
by Fishman. Sounds good.
Yeah. Puts out a good output. Sounds nice and clean when I'm going into it. But I don't use any like vocal effects or anything. Like all my recordings are just like raw, like me into the mic. The only time I've really done any like sort of effects on my vocals was like for the ending of Face Value. We just threw a little fuzz on there in that one section where I'm just talking. But other than that, it's just been like raw recordings of me.
Actually, I think it was, what was the song? Unpaid Debts. I think you guys did like a little segment. I don't know if it was like something that was already recorded or something.
There's a sample of a phone call from this guy named Daniel Larson. Like, he got arrested. A lot of crimes that were committed, a lot of stories that I'm not going to get into. It's because the content of that story. But we just found the whole thing funny. We're just like, what if we just put his phone call from prison to his lawyer? It's like a small section. What if we just put that into a song? And we ended up doing that. And it ends up being like a nice little fill, too, because it would have been a really short song without that. I mean, it's still a pretty short song with it, but gave us a nice little like sound buffer, and it was just like a nice break before, that like fast riff, then just suddenly into a slow breakdown. It's like a nice way to bridge it, in my opinion.
That's for sure. All right, and Joe, to close it out.
So I feel like a poser at going after John and Sam. I really like Shawn. I don't know too much about my gear. I just recently moved out, so the bass amp Shawn was using was my old Fender Rumbler. Now I'm using a Hartke 508 with a Dean bass, and I have a Boss Master Effects pedal I just recently got. And that I use some compression and overdrive?
Yeah.
And just crank the bass all the way down and the treble all the way up and just let it buzz, I was playing the Washburn before when we first recorded Limb, before John joined the band. I got the Dean around the time he joined. And I was liking it, but I didn't really need, it was a 5-string and I didn't really need the 5th string. So I thought, it might be nice, downsize to a 4-string. And then Sam's brother was selling it, so him and I went half on it. He hangs on to it for me, and I practice on the Washburn at home. So
technically, I have it right now because I forgot to bring it to practice. I told Joe I would bring it home for him because they didn't have room in the car. Forgot to bring it to practice today. It's an awesome bass. It's very cool.
What is it?
Technically it's called a Dean Metal Man. But it's the Z shape, not the ML shape. It's very cool.
It's fun. It's got a nice spot for my hand to rest. Because that was something with the Washburn is it's shaped like a more standard bass shape. I didn't have real room to like get my hand there to play real fast. But with the Dean, the whole top is smooth, so I've got room I found that it's more fun and almost easier to play fingerstyle. So switched back.
Actually, the way you kind of describe your finger style there, it's almost like what I call the slapstick, where you use the thumb to kind of slap the top string there, yeah.
Now break down slower sections to really fill some noise. I'll hit a slap, but yeah.
This one can actually tie in with the lyrics, but what do you guys down to? I'm trying to make sure I pronounce it right too. Do you down to like D or something, or like if you know where I'm trying to go with it?
Yeah, so we're in drop B tuning.
Yeah, we started with drop C sharp. Then when we first started, and then we ended up switching to drop G sharp. And then when John joined, we recorded a single song in drop G sharp, and then we ended up switching to drop B.
Yeah, so I think both versions of Limb from Limb are in G sharp.
I think we changed it. We changed it back to B for the recordings. Okay. Yeah. The original Limb from Limb and the original Face Value were in drop C sharp. Then when we started working on the album, that is never going to get done, by the way. I did not come up with anything, like no good riffs, except for like maybe one that I do want to use at some point. We recorded everything in drop G sharp. Then John joined and we did Welcome to the Dog Pound in drop G sharp. And then we ended up switching to B for convenience.
That was it.
It's almost like a grindcore sort of style, the way some of the length of music is, as well as the breakdowns. Maybe not as like jumbly. It's just a jumble because there's always like kind of mush sound together when it comes to grindcore. Is that how you would describe maybe your genre as maybe some sort of grindcore influence?
I like to consider it as my drumming style especially, but I like to consider our music just like this new generation of hardcore. So like some of my influences going into this were Varials and Kublai Khan. I loved their music. I still do. And I'm like, wow, this is a really cool subgenre of metal, punk, whatever you want to call it. I've heard 100 different things now. Some people call it metalcore even, which I get. Everything's metalcore at the end of the day now, but no, and I'm like, wow, I really love this beatdown style of the music. Like, this is something that I really wanted to make. And so, like, I really like those punchy, pretty straightforward drum parts and getting a little flashy with it every once in a while. I really enjoyed it a lot because it's like, wow, this is really angry music. Like, it makes me really want to, like, beat someone or kick their teeth in or whatever. Like,
rob them at gunpoint while our music plays.
But like that's where like I would consider it. We're taking a little bit of influence from like everybody's kind of listening background because like while we all have a lot of similarities in our metal that we enjoy, we also have a lot of differences, and it's kind of cool just all coming together to make that one thing with a little bit of each piece of what we enjoy the most.
Yeah.
I guess, Shawn, are you the primary songwriter when it comes to the lyrics, or do you guys try to take turns with putting the lyrics together?
I'd say like 95% of the lyrics have been me. Sam's contributed in some parts. I believe Joe and John have as well. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember correctly.
I've done some vocals, but I'm not great with writing lyrics.
I've unreleased lyrics.
Yeah, we
have written. Then I'm kind of just waiting for the right instrumental.
I know for the one song that we do currently have released where Sam helped write lyrics is "Weaponizing the Unstable." He wrote the chorus part for that. Just because I was like really struggling to like find something that I thought would like fit and work good. I was just like, hey, if you want to take a crack at it, go ahead. So he ended up writing that. Yeah. It's been a struggle for me just because it was a slightly different writing style than mine. So it's like getting used to it, like getting that pacing, getting in that mindset of just like, okay, I need to like save my breath for this part, make sure I really have enough so I can get those notes sustained, held out as long as I need to, then have enough air for the next song, or not next song, but next line that's coming up. But majority of the lyrics have been me. I write a lot. I have probably at least 20 songs written right now that we need instrumentals for. But
was that just from the couple I was listening to? It was almost like the "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me" sort of deal. So
yeah, I can definitely see it. I got my inspiration for those for that chorus part. I lost a lot of really close buddies of mine back in September over some drama. It's not important, but they were really close to me, and I realized like how full of crap they were. So that's why I'll try to keep it as PG as possible. I know there's a lot of like swearing in that chorus, but like that's why I'm like, if you take all your crap and shove it up your rear end, it'll come through your teeth and people will see exactly what kind of person you are. So like that was a lot of the inspiration for it. And I'm reading it with Shawn's lyrics that he has. I'm like, wow, this actually fits like perfectly with the whole message of it. So
yeah, because
what is perfect.
I was in a similar situation where I was also having like a lot of tension with people in my life when I was writing that song. It's just like a lot of people were taking shots at me over things that I didn't feel was necessary. I mean, again, it's a long story that, doesn't really need to be shared. I was just like, you're not going to change me to be the person you want me to be just because you're living a different lifestyle than me and you think that I don't fit some image of how I'm supposed to be. Just like, that's kind of where the line, like, I'm not your project, I don't need you comes from. It's just like, I know where I'm directing my life into. Like, I know who I want to be as a person. I see who you are as a person, like how you're acting. Like, I want to stay far from that, be my own person, just you worry about yourself, I'll worry about myself type of thing.
Yeah. Actually, Joe, did you say you did some vocals as well on that song? Unstable.
Limb from Limb, John and I did the backing vocals during the chorus.
John did weaponizing.
And John did weaponizing. I forgot about that too.
That was a funny story.
John did weaponizing. But yeah, no, I just yelling into a mic, some background noise. Yeah, my job is making noise. That's what I'm here to do.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all we do. It's just make noise.
It's metal, baby. That's what we're supposed to do. So, let's see why.
I don't even know how to play my instrument. I just hit the stuff in front of me.
I just stand on the stage, look scary, and get people to punch each other. It's all right.
Circle pit. That will do. Let's get that pit rolling there, baby. So, I was going to say, did you guys circle pit rolling, whatever, this last show you went to?
We had a little bit going, like, at, like, the earlier points of the show. We had played an unreleased song that we had just because it's not finished. I was just like, I don't have any words in the song at the moment. It's not finished. So it's just like, it's a pretty high energy song in my opinion. So it's just like, I told that to the crowd. It's just like, hey, this song's not finished. There's no words for it. It gives me a chance to rest my voice. For all you people out there, like the crowd killers, the moshers, this song's for you. And like I'm sitting up there and just no one's moving. I was just like, this sucks. Like I was really hoping to see a lot of people get moving down there. I might have even hopped down on stage and started moving with them. Looking back, I probably should have done that anyway, just to like get them like get the energy going, get people moving. But during that song specifically, I didn't see as much movement as I wanted, but I did see some during the rest of the set. That was nice.
I was gonna say overall you had really good crowd participation. You got everyone to start barking during Dog Pound. That made me happy.
That's cool.
I didn't notice it until I looked back and I'm like, oh, they're barking.
I wasn't able to hear that. No, that's cool.
If you look at it from my mom's phone, you can hear them kind of barking in the background.
Little Cleveland Dog Pound. It's almost like these guys must be the Cleveland Browns right here or something. So
No, I'm a St. Louis football fan. I'm gonna pretend that they never moved to LA again.
yeah, they're still St. Louis Rams at heart. So
At heart, that was my first ever team. So, and they will always be my first team.
yeah, that's for sure. So when you guys are creating a new song, for instance, and I guess this could even be for like some of the old material that you've already released. But if you've always done it where you had the music first and put lyrics in last, or has it sometimes been vice versa?
It's kind of flipped a lot. Because like when we were starting out, I was writing way more songs than needed to be done. It was just like we had 3 riffs stored up maybe. I was just like, all right, I just wrote song number 17 for this week.
I remember it was driving me nuts.
Yeah. Like I had way too much stuff written up. So it's just like anytime we had a new riff, I'd like go look back and I was just like, oh yeah, that fits. Like we could put that in over this riff. And like after a while, it started going more towards like, all right, we have music. Now they'll see like what I have that fits in. And we're shifting more to a point now that John's coming to the band where he'll write something and I'll be like, oh, I don't actually have something to this. So now I actually have to like come up with something new or like adjust one of the old songs I already had and make sure it like fits timing wise, spacing. So it's been a little bit of a change up, but we're still making things work in my opinion.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff. There's a lot of songs I've demoed out on my computer that I'm like just like waiting to start working on because there's the riffs are like hard to me and I'm like, yeah, this could be a good beat down song or like this breakdown could be heavy. Just takes time,
Yeah.
It's difficult for me trying to keep up with your riffs sometimes. It drives me insane. When we first worked on this unreleased song, the first time I was trying to get the breakdown, I sat in my room after everyone left. I'm like, dude, I'm like, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
I was so pissed with myself. I was like beating myself up over it. I mean,
yeah, but we
kinda
practiced
got
it
it now.
today and like, it wasn't that bad.
no, it was good.
Yeah, when we pulled it out live, like I didn't hear anyone like screwing up on there playing it. It all sounded good to me. So literally the only problem I had like when we were playing that live was just crowd participation. But
First show.
I could have
It would also
tightened
help
up
if they
the
had
ending.
lyrics too. Like,
Yeah.
with crowd
okay, listen, I told the crowd. I told them next time we play
You
it.
gotta
it'll be
show
finished.
them, man. You gotta show them.
I mean, it kind of helps when you have the lyrics into it too. That way, then you can get them pumped and everything else. So, and I
There's
guess
true passion behind it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, John, have you thought about doing any solos yet? They would do like little Jago and Pat O'Brien sort of solos, like what you hear from Cannibal Corpse.
I'd like to eventually maybe work it into something. I think where I really like to show off my skills is in my like rhythm playing work and stuff like that. I think the unreleased song and like a couple other songs I'm working on are like a lot more advanced in that section. I'd like to do a solo here and there, but like to be honest with you, it's kind of annoying to remember how to play a solo. I usually just play it different every time because I don't know, it's more fun that way. It keeps things interesting for me. But I don't know. We'll get that. We'll get to that bridge. We'll cross it when we get there.
I remember you told me when I first met you, I was like, dude, we can see like you're so much better. You're like overqualified. So if you want to start throwing solos and do it, and you said I'll throw them in if I see that this song needs one, but if not, then I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I have like one song that's solo worthy right now out of like the 4 or 5 that I have. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do another one in there somewhere. I don't know.
Eventually. So,
Yeah.
jumping here to the next question, and Joe, here you can start. I guess, what challenges do you feel like you face these days being part of this group right here?
One of the biggest challenges for me was I actually took a pretty long kind of hiatus from playing. I took lessons back when I was like 13, 14. And then I didn't really start playing again until I joined up. So kind of at first it was kind of building up the ability with, you know, the dexterity and endurance with both my hands. But now it's definitely more, like I was saying before, it's coming down to building my creativity and my ability to produce riffs. Because I've been able to like sit down with John and I can, you know, learn them. We get them pretty tight. This new song, I think we're pretty tight on. But I think the next challenge for me to get over is going to be starting to be able to come up with my own kind of starting points instead of building off of something else. For sure.
Okay, we'll do Shawn, Sam, and then John can close it out. So, Shawn?
So a lot of my setbacks have mostly come from being self-taught. Like I've never taken vocal lessons in my life, like a single time. So like I would hear something and I'm just like, that's a cool scream. Like I'm gonna try and mimic that. So I'm like coming in with zero technique, zero knowledge, just really messing up my voice and my throat. And I get to the end of the song, it'll be like a 2-minute song. I'm just like, wow, my throat really hurts. Like, how did these guys on stage do this and like still manage to talk afterwards? And like I'm scrolling through Instagram one day and like see all the like videos on it just because like a lot of my feed is music related. It's just like, oh, you really want to be like using your abdomen and like using that force like from there to kind of like push it up through your throat. And, like mouth shape like can influence the sound too. So it's just like, oh, let me try that. And like it was like a night and day difference for me almost. But it's just like, wow, that hurts way less. Like I can sustain it more. It actually sounds a lot better too. Like I'll spend like hours in like a week in my car practicing. Like, so I have like a 40-ish minute drive to work. So the entire way I'll be screaming. I'll be screaming the whole way back. Anytime there's no one around, I'm screaming. So just really working on it a lot. And like besides being self-taught, I'm not like a lot of my other issues come from like confidence and like self-image. It's just like knowing that I'm self-taught and like don't have that sort of like professional background. It's just like, okay, how am I going to compare to these other people who have been doing it for like 10, 20, 30 years and like had professional lessons? And I was just like, here's some small thing go wrong in my recordings. I'm just like, it's like really gets to me. And I'll like hear myself and I'm like, man, I hated that take. And everyone else in the group was just like, no, it sounded good. I'm just like, no, I messed up like this one minuscule part that no one's ever going to notice. We got to redo it. So a lot of that is just like confidence and image, and like a lot of times I just don't even like my own voice, but I'll just push through it a lot of the time.
I'll say, if you don't like the sound of your own voice, you're probably not going to like this interview afterwards. So,
I'll still watch it.
all right, Sam?
Part of my struggles kind of relate to Shawn as well, being self-taught. That's always lingers in the back of my mind a little bit. It does kind of like eat away at some confidence to some extent. Like I know that I'm pretty solid at what I do. I fill the needs that I need to fill, and I do always want to get better. But it's kind of always that back, and it feels like every couple months I hit a plateau in my drumming, and I just kind of like I never think that this is the best that I can get because I always know that I can get better. But like. Again, the plateau, it feels like I'm not improving anymore. I'll try a bunch of different stuff, and eventually I will start progressing, and it's a repeating cycle. But another thing that really I struggle with, the bigger part of it, is just trying to be able to keep up with some of the songs that we write. It's difficult for me. At a lot of times, there's been times that like with the unreleased song we're working on, it was driving me insane because it was a style of music that I wasn't particularly accustomed to playing. And that's not that it's bad, it's great. I love it and I'm happy with the progress that I made. And I got to tighten up the very end of it and it's like I'm good. But at the beginning it was something that like I'm not used to this. Like I'm used to like making like two-step sounding drums or like really, or beat down drums, and going through to a more death metal, deathcore kind of side of it, it has really helped me overall, honestly. But at the beginning it just struggled. So like it made me think at first like, damn, if this is a style we're gonna work with, like it would now that it would again comes back to the self-taught. It's like, how am I gonna keep up with this? But it's helped me in the long run.
Go ahead, John.
I guess I would agree with what Sam said. It wasn't really a setback for me, but trying to like show people the ideas you have in your head, and like trying to say it in a way where you're not saying too much and someone's put off by the idea, but also saying it in a way where it's nice and like everyone can understand you. It's tough, you know, like a lot of my old bands, they really didn't listen to like what I had to say when it came to music wise. They wanted like me to play what they had written out or whatever. And I feel really good that I can talk to these guys about stuff like that now. And it was hard to like really feel comfortable saying what I felt in the beginning, and also just feeling like I was friends with these guys because, you know, they've all been friends for a while. I joined the band later, and I feel like we're all tight now and we're good friends now after the show. And I guess another struggle I have is like getting here. Like I drive like an hour and 20 minutes, and it's been, dude, my front tires, my car's a front wheel drive, and my front tires are like starting bald, and it's been snowing a lot recently and icy, so you know I've been getting here a little slow, but I've been
I feel so bad, John, honest to God, and that's why I have rehearsals so early, because we need to like end it before I have to go to work. So like I really want to make his drive out here worth the hour and 15 minutes. So we'll have a 6-hour rehearsal, and then I'm late to it a lot, like today. Like today. I was a little later than I would have originally had liked to be, but you know,
sit in your driveway for like 20-something minutes.
That's the name of the game, right there.
Speaking of setbacks, we had a pretty big one back in like May. It was when we went to Sonic.
May of 2024. I thought I had a near-death experience at a Day to Remember set, because I was dehydrated and I wasn't eating any food in the 90-degree heat, dressed up as Corey Taylor in my jumpsuit and masks. And A Day to Remember wanted all the crowd surfers to go up in the air, and I'm cool with that because I like doing it myself. But when I'm right on the barricade, like I wasn't leaving my spot. And when everybody went up in the air, they shot out a bunch of confetti and beach balls, and
they had
killed
3 people crowd surfing like side by side.
Yeah, or like on top of each other too. I saw it was so dangerous, and it killed our visibility. And we're all yelling at Jeremy like we're front row. There's no shot he couldn't have heard us when we said stop the show. People are getting hurt, and even if he didn't hear us, he knows what this means. Just like the security guards, and the security guards are saying, we're telling them like, "Yo, people are getting hurt. Can you come help us?" And they're like, "Wait a minute." I'm like, what do you mean, wait a minute, dude? And so I eventually left my spot. I went to the medical tent. They told me that I 100% bruised my lungs. They couldn't tell me if I broke my ribs or anything. And because they didn't have an x-ray machine, I bent over to grab my water, and I felt all my ribs on my right side from here down just pop all at once. And I'm like, well, they weren't broken yet. They're definitely broken now. I can tell you that much. So I broke them. And then the day that they healed, I destroyed my toe at work, and it was black and blue. And so that was another 2 weeks on top of the original 6 that I couldn't drum, and I was so close to quitting. I was like, dude, this is a sign from God that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. But opened the tried and true that was in the dresser drawer, read Matthew, and it changed my life. And a month later, we got John. So, like, I'm happy I didn't quit. But it was a setback. It killed me so much inside, like, mentally.
I want to say, did your toenail fall out after you bruised your toe?
It's funny because it wasn't falling off, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's just not going to. It's been like 2.5 months and nothing's happened yet. And then I woke up late for rehearsal. I woke up before rehearsal started, but it was like 15 minutes to rehearsal starting, and I ripped my sock off, and I just felt a little pop on my toe. Like, oh, there it is. So And that was a good day. I was so happy. I texted everyone, I'm like, guys, the toenail fell off.
I'm gonna make me a little necklace out of it now. So
Oh, I have it in a plastic bag in my room. It's hiding in a stash pouch that one of my shoes has, so my mom doesn't barge in there and try to throw it out. She thinks it's disgusting. But I
gotta
love it.
preserve that.
That's a trophy right there.
That's gonna be our Slipknot crow. We'll just hand it around to people to start huffing it.
There we go.
You know, I did forget to ask earlier. I guess who was it that really influenced your play styles? And Joe, you could start.
So like I said, I grew up listening to a lot of 90s music. My mom and dad both huge fans of that kind of stuff. My dad more showed me to like the punk scene, like Bad Religion, Pennywise, that kind of stuff. So I'd say kind of that 80s, 90s punk is definitely what probably influences me the most. The fast kind of, driving that rhythm. It's definitely what I go for.
A lot of my music taste really came from my dad. So, like, he'd listen to Deftones and like Kill Switch, like some new metalcore, just like around the house, like around the apartment while I was around. And I'd be like, wow, that sounds pretty cool. So like, got like my first iPod. I was probably like 8 or 9. I was working on this farm like under the table, and I was just be listening to Deftones like the whole day, the Diamond Eyes album. And I was just like, I really love this album. Like, it was a staple for me. And then my dad comes in one day. I was listening to 976 Evil. He's like, oh, that's a love song, right? And 8-year-old me was just not having a good time with that. So I stopped listening to Deftones for a few years after that. Just because, like, young me was so, like, out of it at that point. And then a couple years later, it's like middle school, like end of middle school almost. Papa Roach, Last Resort comes on the radio. I'm like probably 6th or 7th grade, and I asked my dad what song that was. And he tells me, he's like, oh, that was Last Resort by Papa Roach. So I got Spotify on my phone, and I like searched that up. Like made myself like a nice little short playlist just because I didn't have premium. So it was like probably like a 15-song playlist because that's what it allowed. But like it started shifting itself almost. Like it would just add songs on there that I hadn't heard of before. So like Animal I've Become, 3 Days Grace, Skillet, like a lot of those like not necessarily new metal, but like alt metal, like that type of stuff. Then the song that really changed everything for me was End of Heartache, Killswitch Engage. I heard that for the first time and my mind was just blown. I was just like, this is maybe the best song ever written. And like to this day it's still like always going to be within top 3 of my favorite songs, like bare minimum. Like it's never going to be below that. But like that's really like what gave me the inspiration to start going into like the vocal direction, even if I didn't really know it yet at the time. But my taste started like getting gradually heavier over time. I started getting in like In Flames, started getting into like I don't really have any other examples right now. I'm just drawing a blank, but like started going from more of a metalcore into like a deathcore, like mellow death, like that type of direction. Then eventually when we got into the band, like we were trying to figure out our genre, and I pitched like metalcore to Sam. He's like, oh, I'm not like the biggest fan of that, but we can try it out, see where it goes. He eventually pitched hardcore as a genre for us. He was like, oh, you should check out like Varials, Keanashi, Kublai Khan. And we're driving up to Guitar Center to put up flyers, and Kublai Khan comes on. I'm just like, this is a really aggressive style. I love this. And I was like banging my head to it the whole time. And I listened to so much Kublai Khan last year, like 2024. They were my #1 artist on Spotify, and my top 5 songs were all Kublai Khan songs. So it's safe to say hardcore kind of took over for me.
I grew up, I think I previously stated it, my older brother, he had a portable CD player, and he had 2 albums. And one of them was Dookie by Green Day, and the other one was All Hope Is Gone by Slipknot. And I loved All Hope Is Gone growing up as a kid, and my dad hated it. He's like, you can't even understand what he's saying. You should listen to real metal, like Motorhead and Anthrax and Black Sabbath. He loved those guys. And that's where I started. I started with my older brother, and I thank him so much. He's a lot older than me. That's like why he was into that so early. I was only like 4 or 5 when the All Hope Is Gone came out. So I'd listen to a lot of Metallica, a lot of Pantera, Slipknot growing up and everything. And then eventually it was just kind of like what I listened to whatever my older brother listened to. So like Avenged Sevenfold I'd listen to with him too. Like Kill Switch too, even. And it wasn't until COVID. In middle school, I went through a huge like hip hop phase, and COVID hit. My buddy told me to listen to Slipknot's self-titled album again to try to pull me out of the bad depressive mood that I was in. And I listened to it, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, wow. I'm like, why did I ever stop listening to this? What was I doing? And it, like, that inspired me to get into music on a deeper level than just listening to it. And Joey Jordison is one of my biggest inspirations to this day. I have his All Hope Is Gone mask tattooed on my arm. Like, Joey was such a big part of my metal listening, and while I don't listen to that much Slipknot anymore, self-titled, All Hope Is Gone, and Joey hold such special places to me. And Vinnie Paul too. That's a side note. I love Vinnie Paul. He inspired me to play drums too.
I think my biggest influences would definitely be the top two being Pantera and Cannibal Corpse, because those are a couple bands where I can pick pretty much anything out of their discography and enjoy it. I don't really think they have that many misses. Maybe with the newer record, Chaos Horrific, but I haven't really heard it. I would also put Black Dahlia Murder and bands like Attila, early Attila, up there too as a big influence on me. I was very much into like the metalcore scene back in like 2013, 2012, 2011, whatever it was. Even though I was a little kid, I really liked that music, and I knew I liked it. Chelsea Grin's another big one. Jason Richardson, their guitar player back then. I got to see him live at Warped Tour a couple times. He's a really good dude. I think I had his signature on one of my CDs, actually. I think I met him once. Diga, the guitar player for Black Dahlia, their current guitar player, Brandon Ellis, is another big influence for me. I really like his lead playing and his riffing. It's some of the best modern stuff I've heard recently. Dimebag, of course, and Pat O'Brien. You know, those are like that's the old guard, and you know, Jason Richardson and Brandon Ellis are like the new guys that are like. I guess that's a good way to put it.
I just do remember Jason Richardson. He was only on one album with Chelsea Grin, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe two, maybe 1.5, because I think he did one with Lilith. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. It was an EP, so.
Evolve, I think. It had the song Lilith on it.
Evolve, yeah, that's what it was. Sorry. It was Lilith. That was the song. Okay, sorry. Yeah, he was on that one too. So, actually, yeah, he was with All That Remains. That was the first time I saw him, was live. It was actually now last year already. So, that's what he's doing. So, there. So, boys, we're beast for questions here. Pretty good. So, here, let's jump into some extra fun ones. Ready?
All right.
All right, this ought to be interesting. So, Joe, here you can start. We'll just keep going down the line like what we've been doing. But, Joe, what would you say is currently your favorite food?
My favorite food? Honestly, just a good grilled cheese. Nice and classic.
No bacon, tomato, or anything else? Other cheeses on there?
Just cheese. Gouda is always a good staple. If I don't have Gouda in there, I'll be a little upset.
I'll lick it off of his fingers afterwards. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Shawn?
Picking a favorite's always hard for me, because like I'll go back and forth like every week as to what's my favorite. But the one classic, just a plain bacon cheeseburger from Five Guys. I will go there at any time, like devour that.
It was so weird because I was actually seeing a little article that was saying like restaurants that you should eat at and then ones that you should avoid. And they were saying you should go to Five Guys. I'm thinking like, that thing is practically a heart attack on a bun, as well as all the fries they give you too. So I mean, like, jeez, but barely better than Chipotle. So
Prices, the ingredients, I don't care. It tastes good and it makes me happy, so that's all that matters.
That's how they get you. But all right, good choice. Sam?
Well, I'd love to say Five Guys, but I can't eat it. So I'm allergic to peanuts and every other kind of nut, so like I can't eat their fries or anything. My go-to food, my favorite food it is right now, always will, literally anything buffalo chicken. I friggin' love it. Whether it's buffalo popcorn chicken, buffalo chicken pizza, buffalo wings, anything. I love it so much. I love spicy hot food like that.
I went to, after our show in Boston, I spent the day with my girlfriend in Boston, and I went to this place called Veggie Galaxy, and dude, they had this awesome burger called the Galaxy Burger, It was like hash browns, an egg, your regular toppings like lettuce and tomatoes and onions and stuff, and it had like vegan bacon on it and stuff. And like, dude, it was so awesome. I couldn't even tell it was vegan, to be honest. And it was awesome. That's probably my favorite food right now. The Galaxy Burger from Veggie Galaxy.
I actually did try a veggie burger. It was actually from Red Robin, but it looked more like how what you think of like a crab patty would actually look like, or a crab cake. How it would look too. So I mean, it's literally how it looked.
I've had those. They taste like mac and cheese for some reason. I don't know why. They taste weird to me. They taste so weird.
They throw a little chipotle on there too. It really enhances the flavor. So, yeah, all great choices. Joe, what would you say is currently your favorite movie? If you have a favorite TV series you'd like to share too, feel free.
My all-time favorite movie is The Big Lebowski. That is, or really, pretty much anything by the Coen brothers, but Big Lebowski stays my favorite movie, for sure.
I wouldn't really say I have a favorite movie. Like, there's never one that I really find myself coming back to. But, like, I used to enjoy a lot of the Marvel movies, and they started all getting goofy and, like, too, like, kind of meta with the jokes. And it's just like, oh, wow, guys, it's the big superhero, like, big challenge. And it's like, okay, this is getting stupid. But, like, there's never really any movies I find myself coming back to, so it's hard to pick a favorite for me.
My favorite, because I feel like Whiplash is cheating because I'm a drummer, and so it doesn't count. Probably one of my favorite movies of all time is Requiem for a Dream with Jared Leto. I love that movie. It's a really good one. And probably one of my all-time favorite shows, because you said I could mention it, is probably Trailer Park Boys. I love that show so much. It's such a good show. I love it. It's great.
Transformers 2007, the first one for the movie, and I like I like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. That the show used to be on Cartoon Network. I really like that show.
It's a classic.
I would say that's it though.
You know, as I just said too, I just immediately heard Grimm's voice in my head be like, "You never let me have any fun." So.
Oh my god, how can I forget Ed, Ed, and Eddie? That show was an all-time favorite of mine growing up. That show still cracks me up to this day. I love it. I grew up watching that.
I will say Ed is Born is definitely the number one. You can fight me all you want. I'm going to say that one's the most hilarious one they made.
It is.
Okay. No good choices. So Joe here for the next one. What would you say is your favorite alcoholic drink? And what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
Favorite alcoholic drink, just a classic beer. Honestly, I know it's kind of the basic, but simple guy, simple pleasures. I like a good beer. Non-alcoholic, I'm gonna have to go something a little crazy though, and I'll say Moxie soda.
What is wrong with you?
What the hell is a Moxie?
You've never had Moxie?
No, I've never had it. Dude, it just
From New Hampshire, bro. You're not even a real New Englander.
Okay, well, sorry. I think it's a really bad idea to name a soda that sounds like Oxy. That doesn't like...
That's a fire idea.
No.
You're not. It's not
okay.
Those are my picks.
I'd say my favorite alcoholic drink, because I almost exclusively drink rum, it's got to be Captain Morgan. I'll mix it stuff every now and then, like, classic rum and coke. I actually got this idea from Sam once, because when we were going to Sonic Temple in 2024, he's like, oh, let's mix Fireball with chocolate milk. So I was just like, I wonder if peanut butter whiskey would go with it, like a nice peanut butter and chocolate type of combo. So I mixed chocolate milk with peanut butter whiskey. That one wasn't too bad, but between those two, and then my non-alcoholic drink got to be the classic Coca-Cola. Either that or cherry Coke. I will die for that.
Oh,
never days, yeah.
We had this conversation earlier today, and I'm never beating the white girl allegations because I love drinking Baileys just straight. I love Baileys. Beatboxes are great. And for my favorite non-alcoholic, I'd probably say Dr. Pepper. I drink way too much of it.
Is there a doctor in the house? So.
Yeah, there's plenty of doctor in the house. There's plenty of doctors in the house.
And John?
My favorite alcoholic drink is, I don't know, Coors Light. I had 3 of them yesterday, so we'll say that. Then I just drink water, to be honest. I like a soda like every now and then, but water all day. Water's way better.
You're so healthy, John. Look at you.
I try to be, thank you.
I mean, he is real thin for what he's doing. So I just gonna make the joke that Coors Light's like fermented herring dipped in cat and water, or cat piss and water, something like that. Okay, but good choices there nonetheless. And Joe, for the last one, this one might put you on the spot, but let's see what you got. So, what would you say is currently your favorite song? If you want to list one from the independent community and then one from the mainstream world, or at least what you would consider mainstream, go ahead.
So I'm gonna hit with my mainstream answer first. I've actually been planning for this one. I'm gonna have to go with "Hey Glow" by Glorilla. I'm not even gonna lie. I've been really vibing with Glorilla.
That's so good.
My girlfriend started playing it. Like, oh shit, okay, I get it. So yeah, Glow would have to be my favorite.
Are you sure it's not Slut Me Out?
That's NLE Choppa.
Yeah, well, are you sure that isn't your favorite song?
That's a top 3. It's a top 3 for sure.
All right.
Niche songs though, I don't think I listen to enough indie music. I will shout out my tattoo artist, Royal Oaks CT. They make really cool indie rock. They're pretty cool. Just check them out.
I think for my favorite song, like, I guess, like, mainstream metal world, because I don't really listen to much outside of metal, it's probably going to have to go to The End of Heartache. I mean, there's really no other, like, clear answer. It's just, like, looking through, it's just like, oh, I love this song, I'll find one that I love more than that, like, a month later. But, like, that's the one song that I can always come back to and always have a great time listening to it. It's, like, mainstream, End of Heartache's got to be my favorite. And then recently, like, they're a little more niche. I think they have, like, 50K monthly listeners. I've been getting into a band called Big Ass Truck. They're pretty fun. I have a great time listening to them. Their song Corn Fed is nice and fun. So.
Probably in the more mainstream-ish metal side of it, I'd say one of my favorite songs right now and period is probably Heresy by Pantera. That's one of my all-time favorites from them. And I don't know if you really count this as the independent scene or underground scene. I kind of look at it as the same thing to some extent. In that smaller scene of metal, one of my favorite songs also has been and probably always will be one of my favorite ones is Two Shots by Hands of God. They're a hardcore supergroup from San Jose, and they get like 15 to 20K monthly. They're small. They disbanded, I'm pretty sure. I think they only do shows every once in a great while.
So for my more popular song, I'm definitely listening to a lot of Black Dahlia recently. And I'd say Virally Yours. Something about the opening like section and the lyrics like really like makes me feel evil when I listen to it or something. I don't know. I want to for indie music, I want to shout out Manners, Connecticut hardcore. They're a really good band. And I want to shout out Bali, 20 Milligram. We just played a show with them.
They're so good. I love them. Oh my god.
I Want to Die. Shout out to their album.
Bali's dope.
They're so good.
Very good band.
Oh, and
a lot of good songs.
I'm sorry. Independent artists, I need to shout out from Connecticut. They actually found us first, and I really want to do a show with them. They're small, but they're getting on the come up right now. They're from They're called Skin Crawl, and they're from I want to say they're from like the Hartford, New Haven-ish area, but they're a really cool hardcore band from Connecticut. And they found us, so I respect them, and they make really good music. I enjoy them.
I'll say what, No Love for Your Brother's Neurotic? I thought there would have been at least one song from them.
They're working on getting their music out, and I'm excited for it. I really am. I want to hear it on the streaming services because I enjoyed their set when we played with them. It was good. They're all really talented musicians in there. But yes, I am going to show love to Neurotic. I'll show love to Nameless. We all played with them recently. I love to all the Connecticut and like Northeast bands, man, like all the small ones.
We're not PR trained yet, so we got
Yeah, we're working on that a little bit
gotta
still.
get the,
But
get
yes,
the plugs going.
absolutely.
No, we had such a great time with Neurotic, Nameless, and Volley.
All
We
super
would
dope people.
so gladly play with any of them again.
In a
If
heartbeat.
you haven't listened to them, you should. They're awesome people and they make awesome music.
Absolutely. And all great choices there nonetheless there too.
Thank you.
So guys, we're down to one more question in my podcast right here, but I guess before we jump into it, would you like to ask me any questions or say any final words before we jump into it?
I have a question. We're gonna flip the script here a little bit. What made you want to start podcasting?
Well, the YouTube channel started in 2020
Mhm.
during the heart of COVID, and I was just doing drum covers. So obviously you're dealing with a saturated market in that case. So as I say, you have to diversify your channel. So I've actually looked up the word podcasting, and I've been thinking about doing it for so long. I finally kicked it off in February of 2021. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say maybe February 15th. I think I have to check to see when my first interview was released, but sometime this month we'll celebrate 4 years of All Music Matters in that.
Wow, bro. I'll get a round of applause for that. Good job.
Thank you. There you go.
I'll ask you a question. What's your favorite song right now?
Let's see. I think it would have to still be Between the Buried and Me, because obviously I've been digging into like a lot of their music. If we're counting mainstream, or if you're trying to also get me into indie. So I'm gonna say Between the Buried and Me's. I've been saying Into the Sky, but I think Swim to the Moon would be a close second.
I have a question. Do you make music?
Yeah, I actually do make my own music. I'm more just strictly doing the drum parts, and I also do death metal vocals. I'm more of the low growl. And actually, a friend of mine out of Texas, his name's TJ, and his band group, well, I guess his little music project, because I think he collaborates with other people and around the States too, is Wayne at the Bridge. And our group is called Demiurge. Demiurge. There's probably a good couple out there too, but I think I'll send you guys a link afterwards if you want to check it out.
Yeah,
Please do. Thank you.
Okay. Was there any other ones?
Yeah.
All good? All right. In that case, here's how the last question goes, and Joe, you can start off. So, given what COVID's done, obviously, I know you guys got a little sick right there too, but it seems like you guys were pretty blessed. You weren't really impacted too terribly. I know maybe it was like more mentally being able to like do virtual work from home and that sort of stuff there too. But for those musicians and people who have been impacted by COVID or dealing with anything else in their lives, like addiction, depression, that sort of stuff, what sort of message of hope, and if you want to give any advice, would you want to give to those musicians and people so they can move forward with their lives?
A heavy question. I would really like to think about that for a second. Maybe if we could come back to me. So, Shawn, kick us off.
I'd say like just because a lot of like self-image and like depression and stuff I've dealt with in my past, like I don't really like opening up to it. Like I've never been like officially diagnosed or anything, but you just kind of have to get out of your own way a lot of times. Like it's really hard to do that. Like I've had to do it myself, just kind of push past your own insecurities. Like that's one of the hardest things you can really do. Like once you've seen that you've done that, like the amount of relief you'll feel. Like a lot of times, like seeing my like own image, like my body, I just be like, man, I don't like the way I look, like how I feel. And, you know, like, instead of saying like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this change, like I'll do it eventually. Like you just have to get out there and like actually do it. You know, saying like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. It's just like I will do it today. I will do it now. Just like getting into your own mindset of just like, I will do the things that will make me feel better instead of saying like, oh, I'll push it off until whenever and just hope things get better like magically. It's like pushing past your own insecurities and like working through everything on your own. Like it can be a lot harder than seeking professional help. But if you're someone like me where it's just like, you don't really want to open up like that, like if you don't want to bring that to the attention of someone like in your family or a professional, like no one's going to solve that problem for you if you won't do it yourself. So just try not to let it eat at you if you can. And another big thing is just try and take a lesson out of everything. Like if something goes wrong in your life, like you lose a loved one, not like lose them like they're gone, but just like no longer like in your life somehow, be like, all right, what can I do better? Like what changes can I make in my life or about myself that'll make me happier or make the people around me happier? Even just like something that you feel would improve your life, like looking back and like take some sort of lesson, be like, oh, I could have been more mature in this situation, or I could have handled this better, or better if I did something like this instead of that. Just not like overanalyze everything you do, but like be aware of the things you're doing and like try and improve on them.
I got a couple of pieces of advice. I'll try to make them as quick as possible for dealing with depression or anything related to that, whether it's anxiety, anything you don't like how you look, how you act, anything like that. I don't mean to get too religious here, but I'm a religious person, so I'm going to say to put your faith in God and He'll get you through anything you want. He's changed my life ever since I really started taking my faith seriously back in July, because He helped me put my head in the game with music, even with the setbacks. And a month after that, John found us, but like, you get the point. We started putting out our best music we ever did. We got a show going, like the ball really started rolling because I did that. Another thing I can say about it is just like in terms of all this, it's just like, sometimes, even though it can be tricky, it's just you got to worry about what's right in front of you and worry about yourself before anyone else. Like, I learned growing up, taking lessons from losing really close buddies of mine that I considered family, that I housed and everything, that like, oh my God, where was I going to go with this? Oh, I feel so stupid now. I was about to get so like deep into it, not into it, but like deep with it too. It's just like, and it would create a lot of problems in my life, so it taught me to just keep my circle close. The less people, the less problems, the less drama, the less BS and all that. And the last thing to conclude my statement off, especially with musicianship, is you can have anything you want if you work your tail off for it, no matter what it is in life, but especially with music is what I remind myself, is that if I want to be a big rock star and I want to headline festivals and do all this stuff and live my best life, I can do it, but I got to put the work in for it. And like I said, that's anything in life. You can have whatever you want. You just got to put the work in for it.
I think my piece of advice to musicians is just practice. Like I practice so as much as I can. Anytime I have a guitar that's at my girlfriend's house for when I'm over there, so when I can practice when I'm there. I just practice as much as I can, and there's a certain type of person you can tell they don't work hard enough on what they're doing or their craft, and you can just tell they don't practice. And that's my biggest piece of advice. But my second piece of advice is if you're in a situation with a band or a creative outlet or whatever you're doing, and you don't like the people, or someone's not treating you fairly, or someone does something that makes you uncomfortable, leave. There's so many other opportunities out there for you, and there's so many better people that you will meet along the way. It's not worth it staying and trying to make something work. That's all my advice.
So the long-awaited response. Kidding. But to build off of what John was saying, I think my advice would be, I'm so sorry, I'm spacing out a little bit. Can you just run me through your point again?
I said you could leave.
No, leave, yes. No, I'm so sorry. Okay. My advice is you have to take care of yourself, and you got to take care of number one, not in a selfish way, but more of in the sense that you have to be content with yourself. Not, happiness is a hard thing to strive for, because that is one end of an extreme. But I think is you got to aim for contentness and security almost, and that is when you can produce your best musically, just putting your best self forward. I had kind of a religious experience. I was in a pretty rough motorcycle accident, so I got to sit down and think for a couple of weeks. and just a lot of internalizing. And I think it's so important to really just be honest with yourself and the people around you with what you need to be the best you, so that you can give the best that you can. It's a little abstract, but...
Absolutely. And spoke like a bunch of true prodigies. So, okay. So boys, we reached the end of my podcast right here. We're just a few minutes shy of about 2 hours, but I guess before we close out, would you guys like to give any shout outs? Any final words?
Shout out you for letting us come on.
Yeah,
That's
thank
the
you
first one. Thank you
for having us. Our first interview, our first podcast. It was a lot of fun.
This was fun. I had a great time today. I want to shout out. I am not now that I'm like really thinking about. I want to shout out Neurotic, and specifically Nathan, for even coming to me saying that he wanted to get me on a bill with him, and I appreciated it so much, because now it's really helped me get my foot in the door to start doing shows. It really means a lot to me. I think he knows it does, but like he doesn't know, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't know the true extent of how much I really do appreciate it, because it was a really like I knew getting shows to start off might have been a little bit tricky, but having him there, just like, hey, you just come on this bill if you want. He was like, oh, all right, sweet. So like we got it all working. So shout out them for that. And shout out all the bands we played with too. They were super cool people. Honest to God.
And O'Brien's Pub in Alston. Shout
out them for letting us.
Shout out to them. They run shows like crazy, like
7 days a week,
damn near every day.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the area,
the Boston
Alston,
area,
and you want to catch a
they
show,
all have one every single
they're
day.
running something
Tonight, yeah, no, they already are. They posted it. They have a schedule at the beginning of each month. They put a schedule of each day on what's going on that day.
They didn't have us on there though. We weren't special.
No, we were on the calendar post, and then
we were.
Yeah, we just didn't get another one that we're
Yeah,
gonna do that, but that's all right. But that's all right. That's all right. I still had a great time.
Yeah.
But they
go.
They do good. They do good work over there. They mic up everybody. It sounds really good.
Yeah.
Actually, was it you, Sam, that reached out initially? Because I think it was you that reached out to me to want to come on.
I think it was not me.
John, right?
I just texted you for the first time the other night about the Skype account. I hadn't said anything. Like I said after I brought up the Skype account, it was all me after that point. And like I said, it's been like a collaborative between all of us. But I think I finally said something like the other day.
I think it was my idea because I saw Neurotic.
Yeah.
Neurotic was on your show, and I was like, wait, we're friends with Neurotic. Why don't we just ask? And then I DM'd you, and then I think somebody else took over after.
Yeah, I asked you a couple questions on there, like, you know, what kind of things will we be talking about, like what to look forward to, that type of stuff.
So is everybody, everyone all at once. So.
God, I couldn't figure out the Skype. I feel old. I feel like an old person not knowing how my computer works. So it was so weird. I started it up like when I made it, and I'm like, this does not look like Skype. What am I looking at? Like I had to update my entire MacBook to get it installed. It was such a hassle that didn't need to be a hassle, and I made it a hassle on myself. But like we got everything all situated, so like that's perfect.
That's good. And I guess just real quick, what's your plans for 2025? And got any other new material coming out pretty soon?
At the moment, we have nothing that's like ready for release, but we have a lot of songs that are in the works. Ideally, I would like to put out an album by the end of the year, but we'll see where that takes us. We're definitely going to try and play as many shows as we can, like any opportunity we can, to be honest, because we all love playing it, and we'd all love to play as many more as we can.
Looking out for shows in 2025.
Yes, sir. I gotta talk to someone who runs a very small music festival on Main Street in Killingly that they did last year, and I missed it, and I really want us to get on it. It's very small. I think it would be easy to get. We have a show coming up on April 18th, and the owner of the bar runs the festival, so I'm gonna talk to him about it when we go do it. Get all scheduled. It's in the summer. It's like perfect, right in his back lot. I'm excited for it. They've had a couple of heavy bands. Good one out of West Virginia that was there. Fall 50 Feet. They're like a mathcore hardcore band like Kaunashi. They're super dope.
That's good to hear. And just last thing, can you just list what social media and streaming platforms you guys are on so you can check out your music and interact?
Our Instagram is Kujo_CT. We are on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, whatever streaming service you use, we're on it. We're just Kujo CT. We're on TikTok. That one's Kujo.CT. And you can find everything there. All our updates will most likely be on our Instagram account before anywhere else.
That's our main.
That we focus on. Every once in a while, I'll pop in on the TikTok. We're like, oh, maybe we can post something.
Yeah, I think we last posted on there for Welcome to the Dog Pound, and that was months ago.
No, I posted until a couple days ago. I posted some clips from the set, but you won't open your TikTok, so you'll never see it.
The Kujo Instagram, to clarify, is Kujo_CT. That's where we mainly are. You can find us there. Most of it.
Yeah, and you can find our music on literally any other website that has music. Like our uploading service will like put us on sites I've never even heard of. So if it's a website you can listen to music on, you can buy it.
Yeah, it's exactly that. We're everywhere, and I'm happy we're everywhere.
All right, sounds good. And to close out like this, everyone, my guest today was Joe, Shawn, Sam, and John, hailing from up there in the lovely state of Connecticut. They're part of the band Kujo CT. So, also good friends with Neurotic. So, I guess, John, thank you so much for reaching out there too and being good friends with Neurotic. So, that all worked out. So, go hit up all streaming platforms, all social media and everything here too. Let's go help our brothers out. And everyone, good luck this year. And then the other thing too is make sure you all stay safe because you know there's one fucked up world out there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I need a post from everybody. Stay tuned, y'all.
Thank you.